meeting to order at 7 p.m. Please read the roll.
Councilman Gouldy is absent tonight. Councilman Jack Russo.
Here.
Councilman Gray.
Here.
Councilman Mara.
Yeah.
Supervisor Esposito.
Present, also present is our town attorney, George Parisi. Jim is in the hospital again, so he couldn't make it tonight. Okay, invocation. Nancy?
Father God, we come before you tonight, asking for your wisdom, knowledge, and discernment for those representing us to know your will for Princetown. We ask your peace and unity that only you can give. Thank you for working your will in our town. Bless those who represent us and their families. We pray, as your word says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. We declare this for our town. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please remain standing for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reports, got anything from the highway?
Yeah, I talked to Rob, he was gonna come tonight, but he ended up working. Somebody called about a deer on Curry Bush Road, which is a county, he's one of them called county, which it did, so obviously that was taken care of. And Brookside Drive, he's gonna call tomorrow, they're not, they haven't cleaned the ditch there yet. And that's it. Highway.
Okay. Any questions on that? Doug?
No.
Okay. Do we have a report from Rick?
You do, yep.
Okay. Let's see, July, we had a major water main break again. The water system was a disaster. It was never put in correctly. They never followed the plans submitted by the town engineer. Rocks are still piled all around these pipes. And they continue to break. They should have had sand put all the way around it, nobody paid attention to it, so we're continuing to have these problems, and we're gonna continue to. The major water main break was up at the pump house. They couldn't find it because there was 2 layers of fabric underneath, and they were digging, and they almost had to dig up the whole parking lot trying to find where the leak was. We were losing 150,000 gallons a day going back into the aquifer. Finally, we had to call a leak detection agency to come up and find where the leak was. And of course, the pipes weren't where the map said they were, and they were deeper than where they were supposed to be. If it was not for the county coming across with $250K to help this water system out that we got, and if it wasn't for the COVID money that we got, I don't know where we would be. This system is not going to sustain itself any longer. Probably within a year or two, you're going to see an awful large increase in the water rates for the users. There's no way that we're going to be able to keep doing this and keep repairing these lines the way they are. They were never put in properly.
That's not
And
true.
there's a man out over there, there's Doug, you put in water lines for, I don't know, 40 years? 50. And he knows exactly what I'm talking about. He's been on every water main break so have I. And it's a disaster, and I don't know what we're gonna do, but I've talked with, had Zoom meetings with our congressman. I've talked with everybody I could. They don't seem to be interested in helping our town out, so I don't know what else we can do. I've even talked with our congressman personally. He was at the Crossroads Center when I brought this up. We've had 15 water main breaks in the last year and a half. We just can't sustain this. So be prepared. And we can't keep going to the county and asking them for money. We were lucky there that I was able to secure those funds. So I'll read his report.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure, go ahead, Tom.
Okay.
there was supposed to be job followers on this thing. And obviously, they must have got paid off, because there was supposed to be stone under the pipe, sand on top of it, and it was backfilled with original dirt. 9 out of 10 breaks are rocks, this big around, laying on the pipe. Who was the job follower then?
Doug Cole.
Doug Cole.
Jack McDonald Engineering.
Excuse me, folks, there's not time, there's a time for the
We're
public.
just correcting the record.
This is not the time to correct the record. The
Understand.
board meeting has to have an orderly process and the board's discussion.
Understand, Gerard.
Public will privilege the floor, you're welcome to say what you want to say. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Doug, while you were so rudely interrupted.
And I'm just saying, it wasn't put in properly. They never hauled anything away. I never seen them haul anything. I've lived here 75 years. They never hauled nothing away, and they never brought nothing in. Once in a while, you'll dig one of these hydrants up, which today they dug 3 up, or shut-off valves, and there was sand around them, but it was the ones by the water tank, okay? But the ones over, coming out of the pump house, there was no sand around it, there was no stone under, no nothing. So whoever the job follower was, okay, must have got paid off. And I said this when I got in here, when my father was in here, that we were gonna have problems, because I watched him put it in. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, got anything? Thank you, Doug. You got anything?
No, he's right. It's gonna have to be all replaced with plastic. Eventually. Which is gonna have a government grant.
Got anything you want to add? Okay, I'll read this. Gallons pumped, 4,258,000. Maximum daily use, 201,900. Minimum daily use, 58,500. Daily average, 137,400. We had the following water main breaks. We just discussed it. Issues work done, continuing leak investigation on the water system, lead and copper sample, general maintenance performed, respectfully submitted. Rick Rourke, we did hire a company to assess the water system and look for leaks, and they found small leaks throughout the system, which are eventually going to turn into large leaks. But we can't repair them all at once, so we're just going to have to wait until they start to show up a bigger leak. So I just wanted everybody to be aware that has water, and the town is using the water system. Probably next year, there's going to be a large increase in the water funds, because we just can't sustain these leaks. You know, like I said, we can't keep going back asking the county for money. I was fortunate enough to get that $250K for them. I don't think anybody really appreciates it, because nobody ever said anything to the county that they did this for us. But you know, I certainly thank them for it. Okay. Code enforcement, you got anything from code enforcement?
We do.
You want to read it?
Sure. Building inspector monthly report, July 9th to August 13th, 2024. Total permits issued 5, permits issued 5. Permit and inspection fees collected, $1,222. Building inspections, 10. Zoning review, 1. Fire inspection, 0. Final building inspection, 0. Certificates of occupancy and compliance, 0. Bank deposit report, $1,222. Check to supervisor's account, $4,500. Checkbook balance as of August 14th, 2024, $1,252.99. Working on planning and zoning as needed, working on permit final inspections as needed, reviewing plans as needed. Thomas Green, building inspector.
Any more questions on that? Doug?
No,
Nick?
No.
All right.
doing a good job.
Do you have anything from the judge?
I do, I've got an email from her. She said, the monthly report for July to the supervisor is $12,879. Not much to report this month, but a reminder, if the town has a need for the JCAP grant, the deadline is Friday, October 11th. Please let me know if there's something I can do to assist. Michelle Van Wart, Town Justice.
Any questions on that? Okay, dog control, you're up, Ben.
It's a quiet month. Only had one complaint about dogs running loose, and the other was just it was actually yesterday, of a dog that was found right out about, I think it was Settles Hill area. People have it right now. They're still waiting to see if they get any word from anybody. I looked around there. Nobody knows whose puppy it is. So that's it.
Thank you, Ben. Is there any questions? Thank you, Ben. Buildings and grounds, there's really nothing going on over here. The rope broke on the gazebo flag, so we've got to replace the rope. I just ordered the rope and a new thin blue line and American flag, so we'll be replacing that within the next week.
Who's going to be replacing it? Who?
I know you're busy. Jack says you want to replace the rope.
I didn't pick you up last time.
Yeah. If he can't do it, I guess you're going to be
Yeah.
Jack, are you out there? I didn't see you there. Jack offers, so
Okay.
unless you,
I don't care.
overrule him.
No, I'm not going to overrule them.
Whenever you get a chance.
You're probably Saturday.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Chris, you're right.
We did not have an assessor's report, just for the record. I don't have anything either, other than town hall will be closed on Labor Day Monday. Other than that, it's quiet in the summer.
That's it. Any questions for Chris? Thank you. Public hearings, we have none. Let's see, meeting minutes. Is hereby resolved the meeting minutes of July 9, 2024, regular town board meeting are approved or as amended. Discussion? Is there a motion?
Motion.
I'll say.
Chris?
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. General funds claims. It is hereby resolved that the town board approves claim number 141 through 160 in the amount of $20,292.26. Discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll get it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Crystal?
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Water funds claims. It is hereby resolved that the town board approves claim number 6273 in the amount of $9,570.13. Discussion?
I'll make it.
Is there a second? Crystal?
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Trust and agency fund claims. Is hereby resolved that the town board approves claim number 839 in the amount of $10,563.90. Discussion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Jack Russo? Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Let's see, highway funds claims. It is hereby resolved that the town board approves claim number 6 in the amount of $23,250.77. Discussion? Is there a motion?
I'll make it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Crystal?
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilman Mora?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Hereby resolved the town board approves a transfer from the general fund to the highway fund in the amount of $23,250.77 to cover claim number 6 of 2024. Discussion,
I'll make
is there a second?
Second.
Question?
Councilman Jacaruso?
Yes.
Councilman Gray?
Yeah.
Councilman Moro?
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. All right, privilege of the floor. At every scheduled town board meeting, the public shall have the right to address the town board during the portion of the meeting referred to as privilege of the floor. Members of the public should restrict their comments to items of town business, although there is no official time constraint. Speakers should be considerate of others, so that all interested members of the public have an opportunity to be heard. There shall be one portion of the meeting dedicated to privilege of the floor at each meeting. All remarks and questions shall be addressed to the board. No person shall enter into discussion with the person having the floor. Council members may address any comments during the portion of the meeting referred to as council member comments. Privilege of the floor is opened up at 7:16. Paul?
I'd like to go first. I know there's a lot of people that want to speak tonight. I have something very short. Brought my water bills with me tonight. I've got some questions about meter readings. I have two houses on Gifford Church Road. I was sent an email in June, about the 20th of June, that can't find the reader on my house. I need you to take a picture of the meter reading and send it to us, which I did. Got a response back that said if the reader is broken, it's my responsibility to replace it. My first question is, when did that happen? Didn't know it was my responsibility or anybody's in the water districts to replace the readers. Second of all, were there not notes somewhere as to where the readers are on the houses for somebody to come and look at them? Third issue is, why isn't the town looking at the meters in the basements, asking to get in? I can take a picture of anybody's meter and see what the readings are. That reading was 62,000 gallons, which was over. The bill came, I have no idea when the previous reading was. Was it 10 months ago, 12 months ago, 13 months ago? If my overage is on 13 months of water, why am I paying I have to pay a penalty? This has to be cleaned up. You can't just do this haphazardly. It's been done haphazardly this year. The second house was the same thing, and that one is 13 months. I had again to read the meter and send a reading in. When I came and asked why the meter hasn't been read, the answer was I don't have time. Then you need to hire somebody to read the meters, because somebody else is going to get this problem. If it's 13 months, that's not fair. It should be prorated based on how much water is used per week, 52 weeks. Otherwise, you're going to get in trouble. I was also not aware that multiple family homes in the district are considered commercial. I don't know when that took place, if that was from the beginning or not. I'd like an answer to that question. And the second part of that is, out-of-district users only pay $5 more than a commercial user in the district. And I don't see that that's a fair situation. It's right on the back of them, it's written right on the back of the bills. I don't know who's responsible. Someone from the board, I want a written answer to my questions. I'm here tonight, but I want a written answer back from someone. Who's it going to be? Anybody?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to answer the questions?
I don't know.
Not tonight. I want an answer. Who's going to be the person to take responsibility to give me an answer?
The board's not required to engage. It's a
Okay.
public comment session. They
Fine.
probably will discuss it and get back to you.
Second of all, I just heard Lou again say that the water district is a disaster. It's not a disaster, Lou. It's a godsend to a lot of people in Princetown. It's there. It belongs to the people in the district. If we've got issues, that's fine, understandable. Take a bond. All you gotta do is look at what can be done to spread it over time. You were on the board with Mike Joyce that did God knows what to the bonds.
Yep.
That whole system was all screwed up. Some of the people who were on the original district are now paying beyond what they were supposed to. And nobody seems to know how that came about, but it happened. The water district is there, and we need the water district. It has to be taken care of. So saying it's a disaster doesn't help us. So hopefully you'll take some of these questions to heart. And again, I would like written answers to these questions.
Any others?
Hello, Patty Madowitz, 457 Sanborn Road, Rotterdam. I'm here to talk about solar. There's been some misinformation given to the townspeople at multiple meetings. I would just like to lay out some facts and dates for the board and for the people of Princetown. We all know that there's the ELP Rotterdam Princetown project proposed. On 3/25/24, ELP met with Rotterdam and Princetown supervisors. They provided a presentation and a timeline of the preliminary project. After that meeting, it was announced at Princetown meetings and multiple meetings after that, that the whole reason that the Rotterdam project came to Princetown was it's Rotterdam's fault and they dragged their feet, and you can listen to the recordings. I'm not going to misquote anybody. On 4/5, I called Will Bliss from ELP. The information from the company is the project, and on 3/25, let me back up. The board, both boards were provided with a presentation from the company that had a map of the proposed project, the size of the project, and a timeline. On 4/5, I called Will Bliss from ELP. He's their engineer. The project is the same size. The reason that it had to go onto the Princetown side was because of wetlands and environmental impacts. The evidence of that can be seen on the Office of Renewable Energy Siting's website, where those surveys are documented. On 4/9, I called Jamie Fordyce. He is also with ELP Rotterdam, now VC Renewables. He verified the same information that Will did. He did add that negotiations are ongoing for Tower Road access off of Crawford Road, and they're still working on the panel spacing. An update regarding the Office of Renewable Energy Siting. In the budget this year, new laws, solar laws were approved, and at that time, the new law is that the state only cites solar projects 25 megawatts and above. So anything that's 24.99 and smaller goes to local review now. So I hope that that illustrates to the people of Princetown and to this board the importance of a strong solar law. It could be, some pretty sizable projects that will be cited locally. And thank you for your time and attention. And one more thing, anybody from Princetown, if you want more information, my name is Patty Madowitz. My phone number is 518-396-6625. Please feel free to call me anytime.
Any others?
Whiteley. I've been fortunate enough to hold quite a few roles in this town. I've been the deputy town clerk, a town board member, a former supervisor, and currently I am on the planning board. It came to my attention last month, apparently, that on the agenda, there was a resolution to disband the planning board. Louis made the comment earlier that no one had made mention of this grant from the county. Well, I sent an email to everyone and didn't hear one response from any of you about the planning board and the status of it. I see it's not on the agenda tonight, and many of our board members are here. So I would like to share again with you, in case you missed it, the email that I sent to you, along with some comments that I think really should have some thought put into when determining the future of the planning board. So it's come to my attention that town board's considering abolishing the planning board. I've not heard the justification for taking such action, except for a few comments regarding personal issues with members, not the actual function of the board. There are many things to consider when taking such an action. A few things that come to mind are: the zoning law will need a complete edit to remove duties assigned to the planning board and reassign them to another entity. This should be done prior to disbandment, or the town will be in violation of its own laws. And not to mention, we talked about earlier how costly the water district is. Revising the zoning law is also going to be a costly venture. Doug Cole, speaking of water, who is currently the town designated engineer and also the planner for the town, who is also the person who was inspecting the water system on the installation of it, does a fantastic job, always has and did during that water project, is the person that we're going to depend on for all planning needs. He's one person. If he is ill or unable to act in his current role, who is his backup going to be if we don't have a board? He does have other people at his firm, but none have the 30 years of knowledge and history he has, or members of the town, of the residents of the town currently on the board. I also heard it was stated at the meeting that the Altamont Altamont got rid of their planning board, so we should go ahead and do the same thing. Well, the difference is the village is built out in Altamont, and the other thing that should be noted is that Altamont combined their planning and zoning boards. They didn't give the power to the town board, which was the right thing to do to keep that separation of power. So when we throw around the comments that, well, Altamont got rid of theirs, so we should get rid of ours, we really need to look into why they did that. It made their process more streamlined, and that was the move they made based on, I believe, some recommendations from NICOM. The comment was also made at that meeting about 2 months ago that all the planning board does is bicker. Well, I'm here to share with you and residents of the town that statement could not be further from the truth. The planning board is currently made up of a group of members who are knowledgeable, respectful of each other's differing viewpoints, and make decisions timely. This is the first time I've seen it like this in over 40 years. This is admirable and not something that should be overlooked. When I was a little girl, my father was involved in the town, as was my mother. And I don't disagree with you that it was a history of the planning board. There was constant bickering on the planning board. I believe the worst I ever saw it had to do with the McLean Food Project and Pat Bishop when she was in her reign as chair. And that almost got this town in legal trouble. So I can see where that past history could impact your decision now, but that's behind us. Over the last year, our board has made decisions as a team. When the former chairwoman stepped down last year, not once but twice, we discussed this and decided together who would chair the meetings. When the town board was discussing earlier this year, when they were discussing who to fill the vacant seat with, we discussed this as a board and agreed that it should be the alternate with the most tenure. Unfortunately, this woman was overlooked and our recommendation was ignored. Instead, the town supervisor went behind everyone's back and asked an alternate member of the board if he was interested in the seat and to chair the board. In addition, he asked him not to share this with anyone. Unfortunately, that put this person in a very awkward and awful position. It sounds very much that he's got a true sense of how things are operating. We only learned that this board, had plans to dissolve the planning board when a resolution to appoint the newest alternate board member and this person as the chair appeared on the agenda for the action to be taken. I'm guessing the rest of the board didn't even know about this plan until they came to the meeting that night. A transparent and fair town board would have come to the members of the planning board and asked for their recommendation on the board seat appointment. Ben, you did. You called every member on our board and asked if somebody would like to step up to be the chair of the board. We didn't hear from anybody else. A transparent and fair board would have come to us to share the plan to eliminate the board and given us some reason or some justification or some thought behind it. The board members who are sitting here, and those of us who couldn't attend tonight, put hours of time into these projects and show up for meetings once a month and fulfill our duties with the board. If you were planning to stop and disband this board so we were no longer going to meet, you should have had the courtesy to actually tell us. There is no reason to play politics with the planning board in the town of Princetown at this time, and that's exactly what's going on. This shouldn't be happening with any board. If you have an issue with the conduct of a specific member, then handle it as a personnel matter. You have the power to do that. We are residents who volunteer our time to the town. Do you guys have the power? Does the town board have the power to disband the board? Yes, absolutely you do. Do you have the power to go and put whoever you want on the agenda? Sure. But I have to say that after working with the other planning board members who are present and those who couldn't make it, I've never been more proud to work with a group of people. But not one of you came to see how we conduct our business. Nobody showed up last month. We were there. We don't bicker, we don't argue, we take what we do seriously, we talk with each other, it's intelligent conversation, and we get the projects done and passed. So if this is about financial decision, we need to save money, there's something going wrong, then please do share with us why you want to just up and disband the board. If it's a personal matter with someone, let us know. I'm sure the person or people would be happy to step down so the others can continue to do the work. But just to make a flip decision and throw it on the agenda, I'm sorry, is very disappointing. I encourage all of you to take time to research and look at the importance of the board, what other towns are doing, and to take these decisions seriously. That's all I have. Thank you.
Good evening, Judy Drisling from Rhinex Corners Road. I was going to comment on the plan to dissolve the town board, but I think that was just adequately taken care of. The only thing I would add is that the New York Department of State Regulations do have they do state that no one on a town board can also be on a planning board. The rationale behind that rule is to prevent consolidation of power and decision-making in just a few people. And that's pretty much what I'm hearing is trying to be done. You guys are trying to go past the planning board, which was designed specifically to advise in town development, site planning, and other projects. And it seems like there's some folks who don't want that to be the case. Similarly, this town board formed a solar review committee. That group worked really hard to propose some very detailed changes to the current solar law. The goal was to have more consistency with our neighboring towns, particularly Rotterdam. Landowners and solar companies are learning to adapt to the stricter regulations that other towns have in place. I've heard people say, well, landowners are going to sue us, we have a fiduciary responsibility to the town. These companies are learning to adapt. They have figured out ways to meet the stricter requirements that other towns have put into place. We don't have that. Our solar law is very vague. The proposals that were put forth by this committee, who worked really hard on it, even came up with the recommendation that this town adopt a similar, if not identical, law to the law that was passed in Rotterdam. I've spoken on this topic before. I found that I'm very disappointed that this town seems unwilling to accept suggestions or advice from residents or other town groups, including the planning board, including the solar review committee. I keep hearing you have a fiduciary responsibility to the people of the town, and you do. You also have a representative responsibility. Neither one of those is currently being met by the majority of this board, whether intentional or not. Eliminating the planning board, disregarding residents' concerns, the advice of the solar committee, is having you send a very clear message to all developers, including solar companies, that they don't have to meet any restrictions. Princetown is currently wide open. Thank you.
Hello, Joe Mastrogani, Princetown Road in Rotterdam, Town Board member in Rotterdam. Just like to mention to you guys some reflections from our experience with our recently adopted solar code with the committee that put that together. But if I could just offer my thoughts on, and I haven't been following the particulars exactly what is resulting with the Planning Commission, but I would like to share that my experience in the town board in Rotterdam, 2.5 years, is very different than the private sector, and purposely so. We don't want our government to just run free. We want to have opportunities for everyone in the community to be able to contribute to the process, to voice their concerns along the way. And the more voices that we have, the better. There's two extremes, that a municipality or any kind of government could fall into, where we're kind of weighed down in bureaucratic red tape and too many people and too many hoops and things don't get done. And then, the other extreme is, monarch, where you just, run through and, not have to run things by a lot of people. It's somewhere in between those extremes that, we want to strive to. We don't want to be bogged down with too much bureaucracy, but we want to move things along. I know in Rotterdam, a big concern for us, our planning commission is, we want development. We want people not to be encumbered by, too much time or too many hoops to jump through. And I understand that that's your concern as well, but, it requires all of our involvement. A lot of big burden falls on these guys on the board, but it is the whole community that has to contribute to, the shaping of things. So, good luck with that. But I would like to mention with the solar committee that you have. I know it's a challenge. I know it's been formed for some time. But I would like to say that in the process that we went through in Rotterdam, is we made a mission statement at the beginning of the process. Before we even, worked on any bits of the code, we had a diverse group that represented a lot of different interests and perspectives throughout the town. And we really hammered out a good kind of touchstone that we utilized to fall back on when we fell into other sections of how we want to do things. And property rights are extremely important. You are free to do with your property whatever within bounds. You can't. I don't think we can build any skyscrapers out here in Princetown, but people should have the freedom within the zoning that they bought their properties under to do the things that they want to do. But once these array fields go in, especially the big ones, if they're not properly sited, if they become a visual obstruction, it's something it's going to be there for a long time. And it's important that we get ahead of making sure. I think solar's great. Getting electricity out of the sky, it's awesome. But these big 100-acre, 200-acre, 300-acre massive projects that disrupt ecosystems and change the character of entire valleys, I think that's a little excessive. People should be able to develop and put solar on their properties, but not in a way that it's going to lower the surrounding property values. But what our committee did was we put together a mission statement. What are our objectives? So, and property value should definitely be included in your mission statement. Freedom to do with your property as you would want to be done also. So it's finding that balance, what works best for Princetown. Once we did that in Rotterdam, we looked at a bunch of other codes throughout New York State, and we settled on taking Duanesburg's code, which was recently adopted a couple of years ago or less than that, and we used that as kind of like the backbone that we built our code on, that we embellished certain sections and took from other municipalities what worked, and I think we have a very thorough, comprehensive code that should stand up to the New York State government and to the home rule provision that we're blessed to inherit, that we take an oath to uphold and defend. And it's to the people to capture and shape the future of Princetown. And I just implore to stick with it with the committee. I hope that a mission statement can be helpful in that regard. And picking another municipal code. I hope you pick Rotterdam, but you could pick anyone you want. You could use your existing code and just kind of go through every section and make sure does it hold up to the mission statement. So, and if you guys ever need anything, you know how to get a hold of me. And appreciate the opportunity to address you tonight. Thank you, guys.
Hey everybody, Nancy Biro from Peaceful Acres Horses, not-for-profit organization, sitting on 156 acres in the town of Rotterdam and also Princetown. We're a nationally recognized organization that serves veterans, kids, women, people with cancer, people with PTSD, mental health struggles, and we do that with 72 rescue horses. We have people that come to our farm from around the country and also Canada. We've put Princetown on the map with RVers and other people that are traveling that come to meet the horses and enjoy some peace and quiet, help feed the horses, get them ready to do sessions. If the solar project happens in Rotterdam and in Princetown, it's going to be across the street from my farm. That's named Peaceful Acres. My tagline is stability happens at a stable place. And I moved to my farm because I needed that stable place. And I vowed that I was going to open up those stable doors so other people could also have peace. Have any of you, do any of you know anyone with cancer? How about a veteran? Mountain Veterans today. We're planning an event for Schenectady County veterans. They have PTSD. 2.5 years of building a solar complex across the street from my place is going to disrupt those people. I'm 5'2". I've saved little horses and I've saved draft horses. I've been called a souped-up bulldozer. I've been strong-willed. I've been a loudmouth. I protected the interests of people that I hardly know. You're sitting on a board to protect the interests of these people, to the homeowners, to the property owners, the business owners. It's our property values that are going to take. Are yours? And when these global companies come in and they either lease the land or they buy the land, and there's a lot of farmland on Rhinex Corners Road, they're going to own our property, and do you think that you're going to be able to stop them from doing anything? You have to stop them now. You have to have courage. Courage. I'm hearing that it's a problem, this is wrong, this is bad. Well, you've got to have courage. You're sitting in those seats because we need you to stand up and fight for us. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of New York State. Don't be afraid of the big companies. They're just people. But you were elected to sit on these seats to make sure that our property values are protected, that our homeowners are protected, that our seniors on Rhinex Corners Road are protected, that the children that live on Rhinex Corners Road are protected. Please have courage. And for God's sakes, just form the laws that are going to protect the people in Princeton. Thank you.
James Nelson, 660 Sterling Road, Patterson, town of Princeton. I can't speak for the other members on the Solar Law Review Committee. I can only speak for myself. We spent time reviewing the laws and trying to come up with some compromises that might work. We all took time away from our families to come here and do this. I personally had to use vacation time for work in order to do that, so it actually cost me something there as well. Last month, to hear that the town board is considering not changing the laws at all was a bit disturbing, to say the least. We came to the town board in a meeting and gave them our reviews, recommendations. There was 2 of them. One was to improve the laws that were there or adopt the Rotterdam law. In that time, Rotterdam, which you know, adopted their law, and I was at that meeting. And if you were at that meeting or if you watched it, there was a lot of comments and a lot of questions, and a lot of questions were answered. But in the end, there was a few members of the board that said, paraphrase, there is no perfect law. So you're never going to have a perfect law. But they spent a lot of time reviewing this, and it was very comprehensive. They asked the town attorney, can you enforce this law? Can we defend it? Yes, I can. They asked the engineer, can you apply this? Does this work? Yes, we can. All of their departments said, yes, we can work with this law. And so they voted it in. I would like to recommend to the board that they really consider Rotterdam's law. It would be the same in both towns. I just can't tell you how offensive I think it is that you're just going to ignore it. Our town law right now, which you know, after seeing the 160 project, there is no way to defend any of it. They went in, they got their approvals, and after that,
they could do whatever they want. They didn't need a permit to start working or to start operating. They just did what they want. Nothing the town could do. We had complaints. I was the only one that was, as far as I know, was told that the complaint had to be in writing. We sent a complaint in writing with pictures and the sections of law underneath it that were being violated. I never got a written response. I didn't get any response other than a word of mouth response that said there was unfounded. Well, try going to Albany and drive through a red light with a camera and get a ticket and go to the judge and say this is unfounded. And it's not going to work. But the other day, we had an inch and a half of rain. They were out there working in the solar field and there was mud on 160 again. Violates the law, but nobody wants to do anything about it. So our current solar law, where there is something there, you cannot defend it. So why is there a law? There is no law. Once those permits are issued, it's wide open territory. So you really need to do something. I'm under the impression that the moratorium has ended. Why something hasn't been done in the past 2 months to make sure that this was taken care of seems a little neglectful to me. That's my own take. Thank you.
Jim Sokol, 3764 Rhinex Corners Road. I wanted to apologize to Jack White. Last time I was here, I was rude to you, sir, and I wanted to apologize publicly. So, you know, I've been to a couple of these meetings, and I'm seeing a kind of a pattern of no confidence, Lou. You know, and you know, that's my outside review point. What I'm seeing is I'm hearing a lot of folks, you know, the water, the solar, you know, there's just not a whole lot of confidence right now in the Princetown Board. And I think you're all probably very good people who are just trying to do the best job you can. But, you know, you have your constituents up here pleading with you to help them out. And Nancy Byro's right, her business, this goes through, you know, there's a good chance it wipes out her business, okay, her nonprofit, and all the other folks who live in that area too. I mean, I get to look at the project down on 160 every day. It's ugly. I'm sorry, Jack. It's ugly. You know, I hear these stories, like Terry's saying about the mud coming across the road because of the heavy rain, and that, you know, it's concerning that large corporations on the other side of the world can come in and dictate our lifestyle. That doesn't make sense to me, you know. I'm an American, you know, I'm third generation, and you know, the fact that someone can come from the other side of the world and tell us how to live or how we have to operate just goes against my nature. So, you know, but you know, we're all trying to do the best we can here, and we're asking that you guys do the best that you can there. Okay, that's all I got. Thanks.
Any others? Jack, you were on the solar committee, you got anything to say?
I'm sorry?
You were on the solar committee, you got anything to say?
Sorry, at the moment.
Okay. Close up, privilege of the floor at 7:55.
start with the water district. So we changed some of the fees a couple years ago, and was the multiple family one, was that like each unit was charged its own fee? Is that what we had changed? Okay. And then I thought out of district was 1.5. Is that what it was supposed to be? All right, so for the planning board, to add on to what Melanie had said, in Altamont, I read through the last planning board meeting minutes, and besides combining with the zoning board of appeals, the reason they did that was to streamline the process. People were going to the planning board, and then they were sent to the zoning board of appeals, and then they were sent to the planning board. So they decided to combine them. They also did it to save a little bit of money, because when you pay one board rather than two, you save a little bit. Beyond that, people that were on the planning board, at least according to their meeting minutes, they were in support of it, which is significantly different than what's happening here. Beyond that, our town is still growing, which, if I understand the purpose of a planning board correctly, the town is still growing. You want that capacity there. If Princetown was maxed out and nothing else can come in, yeah, you probably really don't need a planning board anymore, but we are still growing. They're still doing developments. Things are still being built. We probably need it. Additionally, if you do outsource it, it's going to be more expensive. Anytime you bring somebody from the outside in to do some sort of service, it just costs more. If we're going to be fiscally prudent, you would keep it in-house. These are all residents in Princetown on the planning board. There's more buy-in. If you bring somebody from outside the community in, they don't necessarily have the same passion for the community that residents do. And I think most of the members there have been doing this for a while. There's a level of expertise that you can get when you have a diverse group of people. So that's all I wanted to say on the planning board. So for the solar, at the last meeting I saw that you guys had discussed just eliminating battery energy storage. If that was the original goal in the end anyway, why did we meet? And beyond that, why did we pay that lawyer and the engineer a couple $1,000s to sit in on those meetings? If we're going to do the financial right thing and you guys were just going to do battery storage in the end, we should have never paid that. That wasn't really a smart financial decision. So I got the email from Doug Cole that had just the battery storage eliminated. So this one here is what we had discussed at the solar committee. I would say 75% of this we had agreed on, especially when it came to oversight and things like that. There was a few things we didn't agree on, but this mostly incorporates Duanesburg and Florida, town of Florida. If you guys had the chance to read through it, I hope you saw that the changes are not that much. Changes setbacks a little bit, the buffer a little bit. It has more oversight, more surveys are done initially to protect the town. And I do want to stress here, regardless of what we do with the solar law, you're not going to stop it. We're just going to try to do our best to make sure that we have good oversight, that, at least in my opinion, we set it as far back as we can so it's not as much of a visual nuisance. But I'd like to see this one passed. This is Duanesburg's law and Florida's law kind of put together and added on to what we had. Doug Cole worked on this. I don't remember if the lawyer worked on this a little bit. Teresa, I think her name is, but this is the one I'd like to see moved to the public hearing and let the residents, read it over and give their opinion. It does remove the battery energy storage, which you guys wanted to do, and it tweaks a couple other little things.
What's a couple of other things as far as setback?
So the way the setbacks were written in here, so I don't mess it up completely. To start with the buffer, I think right now it's 25 feet. This would give the planning board the authority to make it 100 feet. In theory, you have a bigger buffer, it'll be a little bit harder to see. There's a little bit more enforcement in terms of glare. I've seen the pictures from the 160 project with glare. It does happen here and there. This is supposed to make it a little bit stronger. For the setbacks, let's see. Okay, I'll just read it to make sure I get it right. So what we had originally is any structures and equipment shall comply with all minimum setbacks for principal structures established in the town of Princetown zoning law, except for any structures or equipment shall be located at least 200, it used to be 50, 200 feet from property lines. And then we added in that it would need to be 450 feet from any occupied residence. So if you have a residence on the border of a property, the solar panels would need to be 450 feet from that residence, which gives them, you know, a good amount of distance from the solar panels. So that's the setbacks and the buffer. And, you know, I hear at all these meetings about litigation, we're gonna be sued. All of this language is from Duanesburg and the town of Florida, and neither one of them have been sued. Solar has come in both municipalities. In theory, they're following their laws, so I don't think we're gonna have that issue. This isn't so overburdensome that you put the town in the chance to be sued. So this is the one I'd like to see brought to a public hearing. In fact, I'd like to make that motion tonight, that this goes on the public hearing for September, and that we can pass it in September. The moratorium's gone. In theory, if a company comes in, the old law is what's in enforcement right now. So this is the one I'd like to see done. It's not a lot. You know, it's not like Rotterdam's. It's not as simple and unenforceable as ours was. This is a good middle
Keep the
ground.
100 acres in.
Yeah, 100 acres is still in here.
You know that there's only 3 properties in the town that can accommodate the solar right now.
Even if it was one property, this
And
is a
they're all
little
3
bit,
of them down here.
yeah, even if it's just one property, this is a little bit better of a law. Better setbacks, better buffer, better oversight, better initial surveys done in terms of wildlife, the
You did
environment.
read that, huh? From the,
The 3-phase lines. So I don't know if this is true or not. I'm pretty sure Hochul put something in the recent budget that they can extend those lines, and so you want to get ahead of the curve. It's possible more 3-phase will come in, particularly to support solar, and so get ahead of the curve. Put a better law in place, and if more 3-phase lines come in, at least you have a stronger law. Additionally, when they do go through the state, they do look at your local law. And New York State may say, 450 from a residence in a rural area, we get it. That's a good idea. And so even if a solar company challenges through the state, it's possible the state's gonna say, this is okay, this is not an overburdensome law. So I'd like to see this one, you know, I'm intending to make the motion tonight to bring this to a public hearing at the September meeting.
I'd like to see that one too.
This is the stuff we talked about. Most of it we had agreed on, not all of it, especially regarding the setbacks and the buffer. The majority had, and so that's what this includes.
Do you have a copy of that, Paul? Do you have a copy of that?
I think I had most of it.
Yeah, so this is the same thing we got, except all of that, like, overlay district stuff was cut off because we never talked about it. So this is
The
only.
last thing I
6
got was
pages.
the Rotterdam Wall.
Yeah, we had
We
talked about
discussed.
that. Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
No, I understand that, but that was the last one I got. I'd like that, then, can you guys email that to us?
Yeah.
I may have it, but I don't remember.
We'll send you the cleaned up copy.
Okay.
It's everything we talked about that we had went over, the removal of the overlay district.
No,
So,
the overlay district was the only thing that we,
right, and so that was,
right.
that'll be done through the planning.
Well, there's nothing we can do about that.
Right.
If there's a plan.
Yeah, so I'd like to make the motion then that we take this, it was sent to you guys via email, and Doug, it should have been in your mailbox. Yeah, and everybody should have a copy right now, that we bring this to a public hearing, and at least hear what the community has to say.
yes, you know that Jack and Paul were on the committee, and they had a different perspective on this.
Right, so I addressed that. About 75% of this we unanimously agreed on, all 5 of us. There were a handful of things of which we had a different opinion, especially.
There always will be, but we settled on it. We agreed to disagree on a few things, okay?
Yeah.
You can't have it all, and it's not the way it's gonna work. so.
Yeah, the areas we did agree was decommissioning. I think we had agreed on that. We had agreed that better enforcement, like actually having the solar company put money in escrow, or we hire an outside engineering firm, whoever it may be, to do weekly, bi-week, whatever, once every 2 weeks. Huh?
That's not in there.
It is in there. No, it's not in our original law, but it is in here that they have to escrow money so that we can hire an
Why would
engineering
we
firm.
want to do that when we have a town engineer that's versed in this?
Because we pay the town
Yeah, you
engineer.
want, they'll pay for it.
This
Making
is
the
done
solar
by the
company
solar.
pay for it.
So they'll escrow, let's say $40,000, and we have that money to send in an engineer every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever it is.
So we'll help pay for our engineer. We send our engineer, people will have that money to draw.
What we do anyway.
What do you do?
They put up an escrow account.
Yeah, we do
What
that.
is it?
That's for planning fees and those type of things, it's not
All
for,
right, we take it out for that.
yeah, maybe.
We take it out.
Regardless, this is the one I'd like
You
to
guys
see.
you guys are okay with this?
Just to be clear,
More or less?
suggesting a resolution to call for a public hearing at the next
Yeah.
meeting?
Yes, yes.
Well, that's what we have to do.
Are you all right with it, Jack?
Well, again, I'd like to just go over it like, as you guys should before you do.
Paul, you're all right with it?
No, I'd like to see a public hearing on it and
Yeah.
get people's opinions.
Yeah, public
I mean,
hearing on it, changing the local law.
the only issue I have still is simple. How do you compensate someone who has the acreage to do this and you tell him he can't? You're not compensating him.
No, exactly.
And that's not, to me, that's not landowners' rights. I don't know how you do that, but that's,
These people that have this land want to do this. And nobody likes it.
right. And the second point is very simple. If solar doesn't work, 20 years from now, they're gonna be gone.
Yeah.
You build houses, they're there forever.
You know what I think about solar and wind and all
Yes.
this. I've discussed this
We all
with
think
Jack.
about it.
I've got a different opinion on it. I think it's the biggest scam placed on the people in this country ever. You know,
It may
I've always
be.
said this, you wanna buy an electric car, go buy an electric car. Just don't tell me to buy an electric car.
It may be,
You wanna
but
put
the
solar
state's
on your
pushing
roof,
it.
put
Yeah,
solar
I
on-
agree on that, Lou.
So,
The state
I
is forcing
don't
us to do this.
But
It's
if
the
you wanna
best
do this,
defense we
you
can
in
come up
agreement that
Yeah.
you wanna do
Yeah,
that?
let's do it.
Well, and look, it's a public hearing, I mean.
Yes, I
you
know
guys
that.
can
We ain't
still-
made a decision yet.
You guys can
You
still-
want
Let everybody
everybody
talk.
All right, then it'll be, that's the one we'll present.
Let everybody come and talk, and then we're gonna have to do something.
Don't you think, Jack? Let's get a public hearing, it's the best way to hear it all.
Yeah, that's the only way you do it, so you can.
That's what it's for. Public hearing for us.
Yeah, okay, and if we get, actually, yes, I think that makes sense. So I'll make a motion to bring, this, it's the one we had talked about at the solar committee, not just battery energy storage, but the other
Is
changes.
battery out of that?
It's
Yeah, it's in there.
yes. Yeah,
Battery, you can't do,
Yes.
okay.
Gardner's law allows battery.
they may, I don't know.
Well, they're
Right,
putting
right,
them,
right.
putting them in.
Yeah,
Let's say outlaw them now. This one.
so I will make that, motion.
So you made the
You
motion.
made the motion.
I'll
Is there a
second, I'll second the motion.
First one.
Before you vote,
What?
so the motion would be to call for a public hearing on, what's the date of the next meeting?
The 10th day of September 2024, at a regular meeting of the town board, the town of Princetown, Town Hall, 165 Princeton Plaza, Schenectady, New York, 12006, beginning at 7 p.m. for the purpose of hearing public comment on a proposed local law to amend local law 2 of 2018.
And to direct the town clerk to publish the appropriate notice and to refer the proposed local law pursuant to section 239M, I think, to the county planning, correct?
Yes, public notice should also be posted on the town's website at least 5 days prior.
So I do want to stress here, this isn't going to prevent solar, you know. New York State wants it, there are billions and billions of dollars being funneled into these projects, and so the best we can do is, in my opinion, hide it as much as you can, so that it's not a visual nuisance. But to
I
do it
want
right.
horns on it.
What's that?
I want horns on it.
Right.
Every fifth one should have cow horns on it. They look like black Angus if you look down the field. They have horns on every fifth one. It just look like a field of cows. Yes, they're ugly.
As a local municipality and how New York State kind of overrides home rule, this is really the best we can do. And so I do want to stress that if you're looking for projects to go away and not come into Princetown, this won't do that. This will merely provide a little bit more oversight, bigger setbacks, bigger buffers, and a little bit more initial work done in terms of the environment.
It depends on the contour of the land, okay? 160 is all like this. When you come off that hill, I've been there, and that's all you see.
Yeah.
If it's up on the top of a hill, you're not gonna see it.
Unless you live on top of the hill.
Well, yeah, you know, I'm doing solar, and if they plant trees, it's not gonna walk, it's sunny light.
You know, as a town board, if we have a change in state government and they say you can ban solar in your communities, I'm sure we'll be
Well,
one of
that's
the
different.
first to do it. But
Right on that.
until state government is more supportive of what rural communities want, this is really the best we can do.
It's the people that own the properties that you should be arguing with, you know. They're doing this.
Okay, so then we're gonna put that on as,
Yes.
put the notice up, Crystal, 10 days in advance.
Yeah, we
Didn't
said-
vote yet.
No. No, we gotta vote, yes.
Councilman Jack Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Gray.
Yes.
Councilman Morris.
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Yes, resolution passes.
I got nothing else.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Mayor, you're up.
I'm up.
What do you wanna do with that? We've got the proposal here that he wrote up, Gerard wrote up. You want
For the
to,
planning board?
yeah, you wanna put that on the,
Yeah, might as well do both public hearings at the same time.
do you have
How late you wanna be
the,
here?
do you have the,
What'd you say?
So how late you wanna be here?
Whatever, doesn't matter. Used to working after night anyway.
so, you wanna put that on the agenda?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You want it on the agenda?
No, I'm not in support of getting rid of the planning board. By all means, have the public hearing, but
Yeah.
All right, then we'll have the public hearing then.
it will definitely be a no vote.
You got the, what the proposal was that you wrote up, Gerard?
Let me read it.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead and read it, Crystal.
Call for public hearing, local law to dissolve the planning board, the town of Princetown. Whereas the town of Princetown desires to transfer all functions, obligations, and duties of the planning board of the town of Princetown to the town board of the town of Princetown. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Princetown hereby calls for a public hearing to be held on the 10th day of September 2024 at a regular meeting of the town board at Town of Princetown Town Hall, 165 Princetown Plaza, Schenectady, New York, 12306, beginning at 7 p.m. for the purpose of hearing public comment on proposed local law to dissolve the planning board of the town of Princetown and to transfer all functions, obligations, and duties of the planning board to the town of Princetown Town Board. Be it also resolved that the town clerk is hereby directed to publish the necessary notice, including but not limited to publishing a notice of the hearing in the newspaper of general circulation in the town of Princetown at least 10 days in advance of the hearing. The public notice shall also be posted on the town's website at least 5 days prior to the public hearing. Be it also resolved that the proposed local law be referred to the Schenectady County Planning Agency in accordance with GML Section 239-N.
That's it? And be advised over there, if this goes through, the town board is gonna have to assume these responsibilities that the planning board is doing. So,
Yes. Now, it was originally started as a resolution, correct?
yes.
All right, so technically, we don't have to do any of that, but we're being nice about it.
Well, they did it wrong when they did the resolution too.
Oh, okay.
Planning
Well, that's
board-
why we're doing it, yeah.
Planning board is not allowed to be established by resolution, even though it was.
But that's what it's, all
You
right,
can't undo the wrong way also.
okay.
That's why he's suggesting that, make it all.
No, that's fine, I got no problem with that, because that covers it.
So, that's all I'm gonna say. There's not gonna be, if this goes through, there's not gonna be any extra compensation to the town board for doing this extra work. And the upside to this is the town will end up saving $15,000 to $20,000 a year on the planning board. That's according to our bookkeeper.
Who's making that?
So,
Okay.
that'll be on the agenda next month, then?
Well, we gotta do it.
There's a motion, is there a
I'll
second?
make a motion.
Is there a second?
Councilman Jack Russo.
No.
Councilman Gray.
Yes.
Councilman Moore.
Yes.
Supervisor Esposito.
Yes, resolution passes, it'll be on the agenda. It doesn't mean it's gonna happen, but
No,
it'll be
it's
on the
correct.
agenda. We got anything else?
No.
I do like that, what you just suggested for the solar.
The Florida to Twinsburg, adding
Yeah,
a little
I
bit.
do like that. I don't like the one Raleigh has, I don't, I'll come out and say that, I think that it's just too much, 45 pages of, you keep it simple. That's what I like. So I don't think, we don't have to have an executive session, there's nothing going on that we have to go in there, no legal matters pending or personnel matters. So, is there a motion to adjourn? You got anything else? Excuse me, bud, you got anything you want to say? You got anything? Anything else?
That's what I'd say for now.
Okay, hopefully we've done you.
Three properties over.
There's three of them within
Yes.
about a mile stretch of road.
Thank you all for coming.